All right, the button is pushed. So here we are.
Here we are again on our own,
Yeah.
looking down the only road that we've ever known.
I you have a hat on.
I do have a hat on. Um, my inclination right then is to apologize. I'm sorry I'm wearing that. You know why I want to apologize? Is because I like this hat, and so if I like it, it must be wrong. It must be something I need to apologize for
Yeah.
if I
Well,
want to do it.
apology accepted.
Thank you. That's all I want. I don't actually want to not have to apologize. I just want the apology to be accepted.
Totally.
Exactly. Thank
Well,
you.
it's
Thank
done.
you.
Well, good man. I've got to shoot tomorrow. You've been,
Wow.
yeah. I
That's
know.
great.
Yeah. It's weird because
I got to shoot tomorrow.
I
No
was
idea.
I was trying to toss that off, and then I was actually going to move to you, which I would like to do, I'll just say this about that: it is less freaking me out than it has in the past. It's sort of almost like, I mean, we've also had a busy week, but it's sort of almost like I keep reminding myself, oh yeah, I have a shoot tomorrow. Whereas the first time I did it, I was freaking out for days in advance, and I was sort of nervous and whatever. So now I'm just sort of like processing in the background. Oh yeah, okay, I got to figure out the questions and the arc of it and everything. So that's progress in itself.
Yeah, and I just want to say that that last little bit that you just said could have been put to a beat. There was something when you started, it was this. It's less freaking me out, but, and you had a rhythm the whole way through.
Yeah.
It was good, and I
Nice.
feel like it's less freaking me out could be a good chorus for a song, just for what it's worth. It's
Yeah,
less freaking me out. It's less freaking me out. A lot of people, I think, will be able to relate to that sentiment.
totally. It's less freaking me out. And it does have a nice rhythm to it. Well, I
It's less
appreciate
freaking me
you
out.
acknowledging the artistry of that
That was
statement.
very well constructed. How long have you been crafting that?
Yeah,
It's just to get
I
all
was
the
up all night
words
with that one.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's very good. Very well
Just
done.
trying to
Worth it.
just studiously pull it off as if I hadn't thought about it before.
You
Um,
made it look easy.
I feel like every time I talk to you, you're like, oh, well, yeah, I had three people come over last night, and the night before I had two people come over, and we're making music and practicing things. And
It's a lot to be proud of having people over to my house. This is
well,
my grand accomplishments.
despite that self effacement, that is absolutely true. If you're having people over to your house to create and practice and play music and do artistry, that is a lot to be proud of.
It is. It really is. I had a moment where I realized. So I'm not so secretly, but you have to not announce it all the time. But I'm sort of in love with my own studio. I'm like I sort of have frequent sort of like it's that feeling that you have of just like I love all my toys in one place and it's all plugged in and you can do all this stuff, and when I have people over we can do all this stuff, and I frequently um, just I'm sort of just like I have a crush on it or something. And so I did have a moment the other day where I was thinking, for years I didn't have a studio, and my big dream, you know how you have these only if
Yeah.
I only had blah blah blah, then my life would be complete. For years, I mean decades, fill in that blank for me was like a studio where XYZ was there. And I sort of recognized that the other day, just because people have been coming in and out, and we've been working on stuff, and it does still feel very early stages, even though it's like we're not completing things quickly, so it's not a perfect situation. But you know, I sort of have reached a sort of the only if side of that, which was if I only had the playground, and I've
Then
been
you would
feeling
play on it.
grateful for it.
Well, see, that's amazing because I thought where you were headed, where most of us head, is you put all this energy and work into setting up your studio with your if only. If only I buy the new whatever. If only I have the new sounds.
Yeah,
If only, but then you'd get it, and then you just feel worse about the fact that you don't actually do anything with it.
yeah, because the then maybe is assumed to be then I'd produce a hit record, or I would make the thing, or I would make the thing. But I think in some ways I always sort of thought all I wanted was like the promised land was more having the space. And I always had the line from Field of Dreams in my head: if you build it they will come. And it's funny, I had it in my head for so many years that at one point I was like, I'm gonna watch Field of Dreams. I'm gonna watch it, so because I use that metaphor so much, it must be really significant and important and deep. And I watched it, I was like, it's okay.
It was good for its time.
It didn't
it was
like, because I was looking for
its
reinforcement
moment.
of other information on that metaphor, and it didn't really give me much more besides the one line.
But that line was so, that line entered the zeitgeist. That line was
It's a good one, yeah.
You couldn't predict what kind of stuff is going to happen like that, but that one was, I mean, the person who wrote that probably didn't have any idea that would become a worldwide.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a really interesting question. I wonder, it could be that that was the main point that writer was trying to get across.
It was like
the whole
build
thing,
a movie around that. Yeah.
What could be the most ridiculous thing you can build in the most ridiculous place just to prove the point that if you build it, they will come? Because that probably is pretty much the whole point of that.
Well, yeah, and getting back to your studio, I think there is this sort of cool idea in a way. Well, I think there's this pressure of like, it's not about the equipment, it's not about the studio. If you're an artist, all you need is a cardboard box. And you'll make your art with a cardboard box. Don't worry about your setup. There's something kind of liberating about that. Like, yeah, okay, but I needed a setup, and once I have it, I'm actually using it. I mean, I'm in this I was suffering through equipment hell for the last several weeks now, which mostly is now like just online research and self-loathing, hour after hour, trying to figure out all the different pieces that I need.
Research, check. Self-loathing, check.
Yeah, trying to figure out all the different pieces that I needed to set this place up so I could actually do interviews in here. Oh man, my camera's about to give out. That's great. Let's make it quick. So trying to figure out.
You're running out of battery or something?
Yeah, I see the little battery light.
Get your important message out.
Make it good. Well, at some point this will just stop. Anyway, just trying to figure out what all the different pieces that I needed to set this studio up for two camera interview. And so I have this angle here, and I want another one here facing my guest who would be right over here. And it turns out it's pain in the butt to figure it out, and stands for, and where do I attach it to the desk, and what is, all the pieces and how it flows back to the computer and all the different connections you need. And it's been, and then like, I want another good quality camera that I can use, and going into the hell of figuring out what kind of camera that is, and do I want to spend that many hundreds of dollars, or can I get an older used one? It's just been like endless. And I actually remember during that process you talking about the suffering that you were doing in relation to setting up your studio, and it was slightly helpful to remember that maybe that's just part of the deal. You go through the hell, you slog through the muck, and then maybe there actually is a promised land on the other end of that.
Yeah. You tried to do it with the cardboard box.
Yeah.
And it was just like you couldn't get the angle. We plugged in the cardboard box. It just didn't work.
I mean, but on the other side of it is like TikTok, where people are just like grabbing their phone, turning it, and it's shaky, and it's not high production value, but it's authentic and people like it. And then you feel silly for not using the cardboard box. Right.
And I think that the wisdom of picking up the phone isn't so much. It's a different thing. It's not like the picking up the phone is the replacement for the nice camera. The reason that they overcome the whatever is because they show up. They're showing up to the party so frequently, and so I think that it's not that it's better necessarily to have a shoot it on your phone. It's just that if you show up to the party more often, the party is going to get to know you, and then pretty soon the nerds who want to nerd out on your kind of nerdery will work their way to your part of the party.
Yeah.
So and I think it's a similar thing though. It's like getting the setup right in your studio and my studio, so that you can sort of like be so that it just be ready to go, so that you can do more stuff. That's always been my hope, and that's what I feel I'm still not doing. That's my only if now. Like, if only
you were showing up at the party more.
Yeah. And I'm trying to. I'm like shooting these little things. I'm like, I see these people doing like little minute long, 2 minute long thoughts. They're just putting out thoughts. And I'm like, I got a lot of thoughts. I want to put out a thought. And whenever I try to do one, I'm always like trying to cram in 6 thoughts into 1 minute. And it's
Are you overthinking
mess.
it? Is it like that sort of like turn on a camera and then freeze up a little bit?
I think it's a skill. I think it's a skill. For me, all of my thoughts and ideas are sort of like, it's like, well, there's this idea, but then the reason that that's not easy is because of this thing that's in the way, but also then there's this here and also there's this here. So my thoughts are usually 6 other ideas having a car crash. So it's really hard to get those down to a minute or 2.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that I'm overthinking it. It's just that, but I do think that it's a skill. It will be a skill for me to start to sort of like peel away things so that I can express one thing at a time. But I also do, in my own defense, think that those simplified minute-long sound bites lack. And I mean, I love when other people get them right, so I can't say there's something wrong, because I do really.
But you think it's a practice skill where people, it looks like they're just tossing something off, but actually they've honed it to where they can look like they're tossing something off?
Yeah, I think it's very much like stand-up comedy, where you have an idea and it takes 10 minutes to get it out, and then you say it again, and then you realize, oh, I don't need to say that part, so you get it down to 7 minutes, and eventually you just really hone it down to the thing. But I think that by the time they're saying something, they know. Yeah, I do think it's an awareness skill to know, okay, I'm only gonna hit this piece of it now. I'm not gonna try to unlock the universe in 1 minute.
Right.
I don't know, but I do think that it's learnable. I think that I get better.
You're still in the game, so you're doing that alongside your musical collaborative explorations. You're still showing up at that party.
Well, and that is something that is kind of easy. You pick up your phone. Here's a phone. Where's the camera?
Yes.
I pick up the phone and I say,
phone.
Perhaps you've not heard of this. There's a
no. When I have a thought, I'll be just like, yeah, God, that is funny. Why do I think that? So I'll pick up the phone. I'll say, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll watch it later and I'll be like, this is almost coherent. It's almost brilliant, almost coherent, but not coherent nor brilliant.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be brilliant, just not coherent.
Yeah.
I have a coherence problem.
Those are hard to sort out. All right. We should, before the camera goes out, and we got a thing at the top of the hour. So, let's dust off our hands on this one. And broadcast! Well